So he says he needs to talk to me alone, and I'm thinking, I don't know, does he want a raise or what's going on? But I'm thinking, cool, I got to tell you about this Street Outlaws thing. So Aaron's got his serious hat on, and he's fixing to tell me something, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to like it.
Richard Rawlings has just made the most explosive revelation in automotive television history, and what he revealed about the shocking collapse of Fast and Loud has completely shattered everything fans thought they knew about the beloved Discovery Channel series. The Gas Monkey Garage legend's devastating tell-all about the show's final season has exposed systematic behind-the-scenes corruption that turned America's favorite car restoration show into a toxic nightmare of manipulation, betrayal, and corporate greed that ultimately destroyed everything he had built. Everybody hold on to your hat out there. Fast and Loud is no more. I have exited Discovery and I'm a free agent, Rawlings announced in what can only be described as the most shocking departure statement in reality TV history. But the real story behind those words reveals a level of industry corruption that will leave you questioning everything you've ever watched on television. What happened during Fast and Loud's final season wasn't just creative differences or natural evolution, it was a systematic campaign of destruction orchestrated by Discovery Channel executives who had completely lost sight of what made the show successful in the first place. The explosive revelations begin with the toxic production environment that had been festering behind the scenes for years. While fans saw the high-energy antics and incredible builds, the reality was far more sinister. The pressure to meet tight deadlines often conflicted with his high standards for craftsmanship, which ultimately made the working environment unsustainable. Former team members revealed about the impossible conditions they faced. But the most damaging revelation centers around Aaron Kaufman's devastating departure, which wasn't the amicable split that Discovery tried to portray. The last 5 years were really tough mentally and physically. We were always rushing, and there was no opportunity to stay and do something that I cared about deeply anymore, Kaufman revealed in a 2017 interview that exposed the ugly truth about what was happening at Gas Monkey Garage. Aaron's exit wasn't just about creative differences, it was about systematic abuse of the team's passion and craftsmanship in service of manufactured drama. I wanted more time for the cars and the work. Richard wanted to keep the show moving at full throttle. But this wasn't Richard's fault. This was Discovery Channel forcing impossible production schedules that prioritized television drama over automotive excellence. The most explosive part of Rawlings' revelations involves Discovery's systematic manipulation of the show's content. Producers often restructured or edited events to create a more engaging narrative. Tight deadlines and sudden conflicts, which often resolved just in time, led some fans to speculate that parts of the show were staged. While Richard has consistently denied that the show was scripted, his recent comments reveal that Discovery's interference went far beyond simple editing. Producers sometimes pushed for certain builds or scenarios that they believed would resonate better with audiences, even if it didn't fully align with the team's usual workflow. This represents systematic creative sabotage, where network executives who knew nothing about automotive restoration dictated how Gas Monkey Garage operated, destroying the authentic culture that made the show special in the first place. The behind-the-scenes corruption became so severe that it created a mass exodus of talented team members who couldn't tolerate the toxic environment. Some employees reportedly felt the show prioritized entertainment over real automotive work, leading to dissatisfaction and departures. Former employee Tom Smith's explosive TMZ interviews revealed the extent of the abuse. The team faced unrealistic expectations to meet the demands of TV production. This wasn't just about working hard, this was about the Discovery Channel creating impossible conditions that sacrificed the physical and mental health of the Gas Monkey Garage crew. But wait, there is more. The most damaging aspect of Discovery's interference was how it destroyed the authentic relationships that made Fast and Loud special. Sources close to the crew described disagreements over which cars to feature and creative disputes about design choices, particularly when producers pushed for drama over authenticity. Richard and Aaron's partnership, which had been the heart of the show, became collateral damage in Discovery's pursuit of manufactured conflict. Richard's focus was on monetizing the builds and growing the Gas Monkey brand, while Aaron wanted more creative freedom and room to experiment with the cars. But this wasn't a natural business disagreement. This was the inevitable result of network pressure that forced Richard into an impossible position. The corruption extended to the show's core content, with systematic staging of what should have been authentic automotive discoveries. Accusations surfaced that some car deals and restorations weren't as authentic as they appeared on screen, with critics claiming that certain barn finds were prearranged or that cars were prepped before filming to enhance the drama. While Richard has consistently denied these specific allegations, stating there's no script or setup. We find what we find and we flip what we flip. His recent revelations suggest that Discovery's interference went far beyond what viewers realized. The network's obsession with drama over craftsmanship reached its breaking point when even fans began turning against the show. Fans of the show voiced criticism, accusing Fast and Loud of focusing too much on drama and not enough on actual car restoration. Richard's response was telling: this is entertainment. If people wanted step-by-step, they'd watch a tutorial. But this statement reveals the impossible position Discovery had put him in, defending manufactured drama instead of celebrating the authentic automotive passion that made the show successful. The final season became a nightmare of corporate interference, where every decision was filtered through network executives who cared more about ratings than respecting the craft. The influence of production made the show more engaging for viewers, but it also raised questions about how much of the garage's day-to-day operations were truly reflected on screen. By 2020, the situation had become completely unsustainable. Behind the scenes, declining ratings and changes in viewer habits likely played a role in the decision to stop production. But Richard's announcement reveals the real reason. He couldn't tolerate Discovery's systematic destruction of everything he had built. It was a great ride, but it's time for the next chapter, Richard stated. But this wasn't a natural conclusion. This was a man escaping from a toxic corporate environment that had betrayed everything he stood for. The most revealing part of Richard Rawlings' exit is his move to independent platforms, where he now controls his own content and brand. His shift away from TV is a clear rejection of the corporate interference that ruined Fast and Loud. With a focus on custom builds over deadlines, Gas Monkey Garage has reclaimed its creative freedom. The show's collapse also exposed how Discovery's meddling shattered real relationships. Aaron Kaufman didn't just leave over creative differences, but because corporate greed pushed authenticity out the door. Aaron's exit exposed deeper issues behind Fast and Loud, as Discovery prioritized short-term ratings over long-term loyalty. Richard Rawlings later revealed how network interference turned authentic builds into formulaic content. His departure wasn't about change, it was about escaping a system that crushed his vision. The real loss isn't just the show ending, but what it could have been without corporate control.
There's Harley motorcycles, there's Ducati motorcycles, Hondas, Suzukis. He collected most everything.
Wayne Carini has just been hit with the most devastating scandal in automotive television history, and what happened behind the scenes of chasing classic cars has completely shattered the wholesome image that made him a household name across America. The 70-year-old car restoration legend who built a $25 million empire on the back of his beloved TV show is now facing explosive allegations that have torn apart his inner circle and exposed the ugly truth about what really goes on at his F40 Motorsports compound in Portland, Connecticut. What started as whispers in the classic car community has erupted into a full-blown controversy that threatens to destroy everything Wayne Carini has built over his decades-long career. And the shocking details that have emerged will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about America's most trusted car restorer. The scandal centers around Roger Barr, Wayne's longtime friend and collaborator, whose mysterious disappearance from season 17 of Chasing Classic Cars has finally been explained in the most heartbreaking way possible. What happened to Roger wasn't just an unfortunate accident, it was a systematic betrayal that has ripped the heart out of the show's most beloved partnership. Roger Barr allegedly had an accident when working for Carini, the devastating reports reveal, but this wasn't just any workplace incident. This was a life-altering catastrophe that occurred while Roger was helping build Wayne's automotive empire, and what happened next will shock you to your core. The most damaging revelation came when it was discovered that Roger did not get paid on the show, despite being Wayne's closest collaborator for years. This isn't just about money. This is about a complete betrayal of trust between two men who were supposed to be lifelong friends. Think about the implications for a moment. Roger Barr, now over 80 years old, suffered a serious accident while working for Wayne Carini's operation, and instead of taking care of his injured friend, Wayne allegedly left him financially abandoned. The optics are absolutely devastating for someone who built his reputation on honest work and old-school values. The backlash from fans has been swift and brutal. The fact that Roger did not get paid on the show caused more backlash to the show's viewership. And longtime chasing classic cars enthusiasts are feeling completely betrayed by the man they trusted to represent the best of automotive culture. What makes this scandal even more heartbreaking is Roger's current situation. Roger Barr has made a full recovery, but as he is above 80 years old, he works at a reduced capacity on his own garage. This is an elderly man who gave years of his life to help Wayne build his television empire, only to be cast aside when he needed support the most. The community response has been telling. Other friends of Barr had launched a GoFundMe for Barr, which represents a devastating indictment of Wayne's character. When your injured friend's supporters have to resort to crowdfunding because you won't take care of him, that says everything about your priorities. Wayne's deafening silence on this controversy speaks volumes. Wayne has not made any comments on this topic, despite the mounting criticism and the obvious need for explanation. For someone who built his career on straight talk and honest dealing, his refusal to address the Roger Barr situation is absolutely damning. But the Roger Barr scandal isn't just about one relationship gone wrong. It's exposed a pattern of behavior that calls into question everything Wayne Carini represents. Here's a man who has built a $25 million fortune and operates a 2.5-acre compound filled with some of the world's most expensive classic cars. Yet, he couldn't ensure his longtime collaborator was properly compensated. Let's talk about the numbers for a moment. Wayne reportedly makes about $5,000 per episode of Chasing Classic Cars, and with the show running for over a decade, we're talking about substantial income from the television side alone. Add in his restoration business, his car collection valued in the millions, and his various automotive ventures, and you're looking at serious wealth. His car collection alone reads like a billionaire's wish list: Mercedes-Benz SLR McLaren, 1963 Ford Falcon Sprint, 1948 Davis Divan, 1967 Jaguar XKE convertible, Jaguar E-Type, and 1961 Porsche 356B Cabriolet. These aren't just cars. These are investments worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars each. The contrast between Wayne's obvious wealth and Roger's situation is stark and deeply troubling. Here's a man who can afford multiple rare Ferraris and Porsches, but allegedly couldn't take care of the injured friend who helped him build his empire. What makes this scandal even more devastating is how it contradicts everything Wayne Carini claimed to represent. His television persona was built on no-nonsense authenticity, honest work, and old-school values. He presented himself as a man's man who takes pride in honest work, but the Roger Barr situation suggests a very different reality. The timing of this controversy couldn't be worse for Wayne's career. The 17th season of Chasing Classic Cars was under quite scrutiny, and now with season 18 allegedly in production, the show faces its biggest credibility crisis since premiering in 2009. For over a decade, millions of people in the US and other countries around the world have been captivated by Wayne Carini's personality and passion for cars. These fans invested emotionally in Wayne's story, believing they were watching an authentic representation of automotive passion and integrity. The Roger Barr scandal has shattered viewer trust in Chasing Classic Cars, raising doubts about whether the show was ever as genuine as it seemed. Fans now wonder if Wayne Carini's on-screen persona was just a polished facade hiding questionable behind-the-scenes behavior. The situation feels especially hypocritical given Carini's well-publicized involvement in autism-related charities, making his alleged abandonment of Barr, a longtime friend and colleague, all the more disturbing. The fallout from the Roger Barr scandal doesn't just threaten Chasing Classic Cars. It casts a long shadow over Wayne Carini's entire legacy, including his F40 Motorsports operation. Once celebrated as a pillar of the classic car world, Carini now faces growing backlash from a tight-knit community where trust and reputation are everything. His continued silence on social media, while showcasing million-dollar restorations only deepens the public's frustration. Fans aren't just upset about a friendship gone wrong, they're questioning the integrity of a man who built his brand on authenticity and craftsmanship, all while ignoring the very person who helped make it possible. Chasing Classic Cars may be returning for season 18, but for many fans, the show's charm has been overshadowed by the controversy surrounding Wayne Carini and Roger Barr. It's hard to enjoy the restoration of rare cars when there's a cloud of betrayal hanging over the garage. What happened to Roger isn't just a personal fallout, it's a reminder of how fame can distort values and damage the very relationships that built a brand. Roger deserved respect, fans deserve transparency, and Wayne Carini still owes everyone the truth about what really happened behind the scenes.
Cher is a global icon whose career in TV, movies, and music spans an incredible 7 decades.
The truth is, I wanted to be famous.
She's navigated ups and downs.
I had so many failures in my life. Huge, huge, huge failures.
After years of silence, Cher finally speaks, and what she reveals about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame will leave you stunned. From rejection to redemption, this is the untold story of how pop's boldest icon turned defiance into one unforgettable night.
I wouldn't be in it now if they gave me $1 million.
That's what Cher boldly declared in 2023 about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But 1 year later, something unimaginable happened. She stood under the spotlight, accepted the Hall of Fame honor with grace, and gave a speech that made everyone stop and listen. What changed? And why now? This isn't just a story about awards and fame, it's about a legend finally getting her due, a decades-long drama behind the scenes, and a woman who redefined what it means to fight for respect. Let's explore how Cher went from refusing the stage to owning it completely. Cher's music career began in the 1960s with her then-husband Sonny Bono. From I Got You Babe to her solo hits like Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, she carved her name into pop history. She broke boundaries in fashion, music, and attitude. She changed with the times but stayed true to herself. By the 1990s, she'd done it all. Oscars, Grammys, TV shows, and hit albums. And yet, when it came to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, she was nowhere to be seen. Cher became eligible in 1991. Fans waited and waited, but for years, she was passed over. It became one of the most puzzling snubs in music history. How could someone who'd influenced generations and sold over 100 million records be ignored? In 2023, Cher had had enough. In an interview on The Kelly Clarkson Show, she vented,
I wouldn't be in it now if they gave me $1 million.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding you. I was about to say something else. Yes, I was about to say I'm not.
Yeah.
Her words were raw and real. This wasn't just about an award, it was about feeling overlooked for far too long. After her comments, fans rallied online. Social media lit up with posts defending Cher and demanding her place in the Hall of Fame. Hashtags like Cher deserves better and put Cher in the Hall began trending. Celebrities like Pink and Cyndi Lauper chimed in, pointing out the Hall's tendency to favor male-dominated bands and overlook powerful solo female acts. Even longtime critics of the Hall joined the conversation, questioning its legitimacy. Major outlets ran op-eds dissecting why Cher had been overlooked for so long. They cited industry bias, ageism, and genre snobbery that failed to give credit to pop artists who shaped global music. Cher became a symbol, not just for herself, but for every artist who ever felt left out. Even as Cher stood firm in her refusal, the pressure on the Hall of Fame mounted. People began to question what the institution really stood for, and behind closed doors, conversations started shifting. Then came the surprise. In 2024, Cher revealed she would attend the Hall of Fame induction ceremony after all. What happened? Behind the scenes, two key figures helped shift her perspective. Music mogul David Geffen and Rock Hall chairman John Sykes. According to reports, they reached out to Cher personally, offering not just an apology, but a reimagined ceremony that would place her front and center. They assured her this time would be different. They wanted her legacy celebrated, not just acknowledged. Cher didn't say yes immediately. It took weeks of phone calls, thoughtful conversations, and private meetings. Ultimately, what convinced her wasn't just their words. It was the chance to speak on her own terms. No compromises, no filters. Cher agreed, but she made it clear, I'm gonna have some words to say, I'm gonna accept it in my Cher as me. And that's exactly what she did. On October 19th, 2024, Cleveland's Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse was packed with stars, fans, and cameras. The air buzzed with anticipation, knowing Cher's appearance would be the headline of the night. Cher opened the show with a jaw-dropping performance of her 1998 hit Believe alongside pop icon Dua Lipa. Their duet was electric, old-school diva meets new-gen pop royalty. Cher wore a shimmering bodysuit, glittering from head to toe, commanding the stage like no time had passed. The crowd erupted. It wasn't just a concert. It was a moment of history. Zendaya introduced her, calling her so iconic she only needs one name. She spoke about how Cher had inspired young women across generations, blending glamour with guts, and how her refusal to be boxed in changed the rules for everyone.